Hello and welcome, I'm Marumba, thank you for joining me. Let's take a look at the Hearts of Iron 4 alpha footage that I was able to get at the Paradox multiplayer event this year. So, you may be aware that a few lucky people were invited from the media and from YouTube to go check out the Hearts of Iron 4 alpha back here in early June. And I have to say, it's probably a fantastic, it was a very, very good experience for me. I really enjoy spending time with those guys. I love the games that they make, and I gotta say that I'm very excited about Hearts of Iron 4. While I'm, played hundreds and hundreds of hours of Paradox games, I've never really gotten into the Hearts of Iron franchise. I've not played with the World War II simulation games. I'm most well known for playing Europa Universalis 4, City Kings 2. I've played a small amount of Victoria 2, but the whole World War II era is just something that I haven't even touched on. And I've tried playing Hearts of Iron 3, but that game was just far too difficult to approach. And I have to say that something I'm very excited about, and I wish I could play this alpha even more, is that this game is very approachable. I think that that's going to be like the biggest selling point for people who have not been able to get into Hearts of Iron, is that this one has all of the interface functionality that we've come to know and love about Paradox games in the last couple of years. It used to be that Paradox made these really, really complex games that were really in-depth, and there was tons of, just information and numbers and, Paradox math in them. And they had this clunky interface, and it was just one of those things, you had to get good at the game, and, you had this huge steep learning curve before you could actually play it. But that's kind of starting to change. Paradox as a company, I think, is growing tremendously, not only in the number of people that work for them, but just in the way that they want to present themselves as a company, and I really respect what they're trying to do. And that actually leads us to one of the topics that we need to talk about, the estimated release date of this game. It's not going to come anytime soon, and I hate to say that because I know people want it right now, and surely I want it right now. I want to play the game as much as I can. However, Paradox has embraced this philosophy of it's finished when it's ready, and they've told us, people, I'm hanging out with the project lead developer of the game, let's tell us, one of the things we respect about Blizzard Entertainment is that, they've got the soon thing, when's it going to come out? Soon. It's going to come out when it's ready. And that is the mark of a developer who has the confidence in their product and the financial means to be able to delay a program or video game until it's done. And I'm glad that they're going that route. I would much rather that they do it that way than continue to be the Paradox that pushes out a product that's not complete because they've met some deadline and they have to put it out, or they just have to. And it's a broken game that takes 2 years to get all the patches right. I think if you look at Crusader Kings 2 and Europa Universalis 4 over the last couple of years, those two games were very polished upon release. They were complete, playable, fun games. The patches that came afterward just made them better. Whereas in the past, with Europa Universalis 3 and Victoria 2, the games were just broken on release. They needed so much work to be good. They got there eventually, but I think that what Paradox is hoping for is that when Hearts of Iron 4 is ready, it's going to be a slam dunk. It's going to be the best World War II simulator in the world, and I think that they're going to hit the mark. I think that it is going to do that. Now, there are some concerns that I have with that goal. So far, I've probably put about 40 to 50 hours into playing Hearts of Iron 4. Between the event and the press copy that they gave me before I was able to go. And comparing it to Crusader Kings 2 or Europa Universalis 4, I have some concerns about the replayability of this game. It's a much narrower time frame. You start off in the year 1936, right? Right before World War II is going to break out. And there's generally about 3-4 years of time that you spend kind of building up alliance networks, trying to get people to join the Axis or trying to get people to join the Allies, depending on which faction you are aligned with. And then war will break out based on the overall world tension value. And then from there, it's total war. I mean, there's some things about that I really like, compared to the ones that I'm more familiar with, like Europa Universalis 4 and City Kings 2. Once you're at war, you just take whatever the hell you want. Like, it's you press forward and just take territory, and it's our land now. And you immediately get the production from their factories and manpower from their people. I don't know how they're being enslaved into your manpower pool, but that's what happens. But the concern for me is that there's only so many times you can play as Germany, and then what? So what I'm really hoping for, I think, and this is just speculation really, because time will tell. This is an alpha. This is just, I want to say that a few times throughout this video. This is an alpha. This game could change tremendously from now and what you're seeing in the background and what I'm saying to what actually comes out at release. But I really hope that Paradox continues to embrace the modding community. They embrace the Steam Workshop, making it so that people can modify the game and increase the replayability, because if it's just a World War II simulator, it's going to do really, really well for that very small niche of people who want to play for 10 years. But unless they make it bigger than that, the game is it's a very narrow focus compared to EU4, which is 400 years. It's 380 years, 1444 to 1821. Right? You compare that to Crusader Kings 2, 867 to 1453. Got like damn near 600 years of gameplay. And then this game, while it doesn't have a technical end date, it doesn't have a date where the game is just over and you can't play anymore. It does have an end to the game because there is only so much technology that's programmed in. So once you get to 1948, 1950 or somewhere around that area, everyone's going to have maxed out technology, and then from there you just kind of slugging it out with perfect technology, and that's it. And the game can't progress much past that. So it's a narrow range. I've got some concerns about that. Now, so far, for those of you who are wondering what's going on in the background, I haven't really been looking at the video. I'm just talking, giving you my thoughts. I'm probably going to be reorganizing this. You might not even hear what I'm saying right now. It just helps me to kind of organize my thoughts. So, let's see. As far as the interface goes, Paradox is doing a very good job at receiving feedback, trying to take the things that they learned in Crusader Kings 2 and EU4 and apply them to this game. The interface is very intuitive. Comparing it to Hearts of Iron 3, I felt like I was at home, just coming in after having played EU4 and Crusader Kings 2. It's a very approachable game. The fronts system, while it does still need some work, again, bear in mind this is an alpha, so it's not a complete product yet, but it's very intuitive. You click on an army, you assign them to a division commander, and then you draw arrows, battlefronts. You tell them this is where I want you guys to go, and the AI will press forward on your battlefronts. And it's very easy to draw battlefront lines. Now, there's a couple minor complaints I could make about the current version of the game, which may or may not have any value because the game's going to be different upon release. But it's minor things that are easy to fix. Like right now, you can only draw a front against an entire country's borders, and then you can only draw plans like your actual invasion tactics if you've used that type of front. If you draw the front on your own property, your own provinces, then you're not able to design a battle plan and get tactics bonuses and stuff like that. But that's something that it sounds like they're just going to change right away. That's something that they want to do. So it's going to be... I'm very excited about the way that system works. Overall, I think the AI could be a little bit more aggressive. There's still going to be some times where you want to take manual control of your troops because just for whatever reason, even though the AI is really smart about knowing where it should press with your battlefronts, it can still, for two reasons. One, it's fun to control yourself sometimes if you want to make a beeline to someone's capital or something, or you want to try to do a manual encirclement to cut off supplies. But in general, the AI can sometimes be a little bit chicken to actually engage in some fights. But that, again, is something that can probably be patched, or maybe not even patched, but just updated before the game comes out. Now, there are two major components to the game that I will say I personally don't really like yet, but it sounds like they already know that it needs work, and they're going to be working on it. So take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt. Okay, the air supremacy game is complicated, non-intuitive, and not fun. the problem with it is just that it's the interface. The interface is what shuts the entire thing down from being fun, and that is the part that they're going to change. There's really not even much else to say about it beyond that. What we played as an alpha is functional, and what was complicated about it, the things that I didn't like, was that you have to manually tell airplanes which field to go to, and you've got these little complicated sliders for how much they're allowed to reinforce to, and it's just this big clunky list of scrolling boxes and things, and you like, there were times I remember where I would have to click and hold on a fleet of airplanes, or a squadron of airplanes, and then while holding the mouse button down, scroll the middle mouse wheel to actually navigate this list so that I can move them from one airbase to another. So that part, not very good, but it's going to be good. Like trust me when I say, after having spent, out of everyone that was at the event, I think I probably spent the most time with Dan Lind, who is the project lead for EU4. I mean, and I don't just mean like I got to spend time, what I mean to say is, I spent more time with Dan than I did with anyone else. The YouTubers, the other press people, like, it was not even intentional, really. I was always just near him and constantly talking about the game and talking about, what the plans are for it and where we're going with it. And this is a team who are very, very committed to making the game the best that it can be. So I have every confidence that by the time the game is ready, which who knows exactly when that's going to be, that each aspect of the game will be fun. Now, I do want to also say, just because I'm kind of giving the game high praise, considering it's not even out and it's still an alpha, I only got to see a small fraction of what's going to actually be available. But just keep in mind, Paradox doesn't pay me. Like, they're not, like, I'm not getting reimbursed in any way for saying anything about the game. I'm just giving you my honest opinion. And, well, I mean, you could say there's a little bit of bias. They flew me out there to play the game early, and they knew I was going to make a video about it. But they also know that I am probably one of their biggest critics when it comes to things like interface and approachability and funness. Like, I will bitch like crazy when I don't like something. And you've heard it a few times in this video where I'll call things out and they need to be improved. But I don't know. I hope that they knew to expect that. I think they did. I think they knew that I would probably have good things to say, but that I also have a lot of things to complain about, because that's one of the things that I do. And hopefully they got a lot of good feedback. I know they did, actually, from the people that came to the event. So all that being said, what should we expect from Hearts of Iron 4? Is it going to be as big as EU4 and Crusader Kings 2? I think it's going to be a really, really popular game for the right people. But that being said, I don't think it's going to be it's going to have as broad of a range of attraction as EU4 and Victoria 2 and Crusader Kings 2 have had, because it's just such a narrow time frame. I'm hoping that it does as well as it deserves to, because it's going to be a truly very, very good game for what it's trying to represent. And there's a lot more that I could say about the actual mechanics that are in the game, but a lot of those things are going to change. For example, we could talk about the day-night cycle. There's a lot of people who have already given some feedback about how they don't like it. Oh, it's going to cause seizures. Oh, come on. It's nonsense. I hardly even noticed it while we were playing. And on Speed 5, there isn't a day-night cycle. It's a very non-factor in the game. You just get used to it. It's not a big deal at all. A couple other things that I, kind of wasn't sure about was the convoy system that's in the game. Like, in order to trade goods with other countries, you have to have a certain amount of convoys, and the convoys are vulnerable, right? You can attack them with your ships, you can blow them up, you can use naval airplanes to blow things up and do all that kind of stuff. But the problem was that, and this might just have been in the version we were playing, that like as the UK, I did some I did a lend-lease, right, with another country. I was giving weaponry to them so they could win their war. And somehow I ended up having like 3,000 convoys, and it wasn't enough still. And I wasn't able to actually do trading anymore, because every convoy I made would end up going toward this lend-lease thing, which just seemed like a bottomless pit of need when it came to convoys. Again, that's a buggy thing, but, you know, they're going to fix it. You know, nothing to worry about there. It's just, that's one of the things that they're working on. So I don't even know why I'm talking about it. There's really no reason to even to worry about these little things. But I'm just trying to find something to say, you know, like what's the game like? What are your thoughts and opinions? There was some funny stuff that had happened, you know, like I found a few exploits as expected. You could get bonuses for, like, so if your units are in defensive position, right, then you get a dig-in bonus. And when enemy units come and attack you, they have to overcome this dig-in bonus, kind of like Victoria 2. But you can also get a preparation bonus for having units on a front line and having battle plans drawn. But the thing is that you could use both. You could put units defensively along a perimeter and then have them just stay there so they get the dig-in bonus, but then also have them have a battle plan that you never plan on acting on so that they would also get a preparation bonus, and then they'd just be really, really strong. There was another thing that was kind of just buggy where sometimes units would just end up with like 300% strength, and you're never supposed to have more than 100% strength, but no big deal really. It was just kind of funny because you'd see like one German panzer division just like completely refusing to surrender, even though it was completely surrounded by like 8 different regiments on all sides. It would just never die because it was so strong relative to the 1 or 2 other regiments that could engage it at a time that it would just never die. And it was kind of fun. You know, the whole game itself has some really good systems in place. The choosing which technologies to pick felt meaningful. Felt like you were able to min-max a bit, make some decisions. I do feel like if I were to play the game 10 times in a row, I would probably pick a pattern and just never change from it though, because I would find out the best order to do it and then just do it that way. But you know, you don't really have the time. That's the other thing. You don't have the time to do all the technology right away. It takes time to do it. So, you know, maybe one time you want to focus on being a naval power as Great Britain, and then the next time you want to focus on airplanes, and then the next time you want to try doing the land game, like maybe make tanks or something. Or maybe you want to go with Marines and like have paratroopers and stuff. And there's some meaningful decision making to be done there, but I do think, I really hope that they add some way to either add more technology to the game, either through modding or maybe just expand it on their own, so that there's more of a replayability to the game, more time that can be spent. Because it's a great framework. It's a very good system as a framework for their Clausewitz engine, for that, you know, sequential, turn-based, time-based type game. But it just needs more time. It needs more to be done in the game. One of the things that they actually kind of made the decision on, practically, during the alpha event was to just completely remove transports from the game, because they're going to make them work more like convoys, where you have transports that are used, but you don't have to actually manually control them and assign them to battle plans. And it was so unintuitive that all but the best strategy players at the event couldn't even figure out how to do a naval invasion. Like, it just wasn't something that people were doing. So if you're playing as anyone who was a naval power, like when I played as Japan or when I played as England, and it's like, well, you got to move your troops from here to there. How do you do that? It was really messy, and but that's going to change. So yeah, so you know, without further ado, I'm going to maybe just leave a little bit of extra footage, or we're just going to wrap the video up here. I have to say again that this is going to be a very good game. We'll see soon if maybe we'll get a release date, and when we do, I'm sure that will be when the game is ready. So thanks for watching as always. I hope that this commentary gave you some feedback on the development process for Hearts of Iron 4, and maybe gives you some insight into what Paradox is doing as a company. And one thing I just want to make sure that people keep in mind is that, you know, just remember that the people who are making the games for you to play at Paradox Interactive are people. They are very passionate about what they're doing, but you just always have to consider the fact that behind the scenes are people working on the game. And when they make the decision to, like, push back a title or something, it's not because they are doing it for any other reason other than that's what needs to happen. And, you know, it's never an easy decision. I'm sure that it was not fun, the meeting where they said, well, we wanted to release it in Q1 this year, but we're not going to make it even at all in this year. You know, but, you know, that's what it is. It's just, it is what it is. They're good people, and actually right here you can see I'm doing the plane stuff. It's so messy, it's so annoying. I hated doing this stuff. It's such a narrow little plane, number of planes that you're allowed to have in each thing, and if you were over the limit, then you'd have penalties, and it's so clunky. Ah, I hated everything about it. Anyway, well, just keep all the things that I said in mind, and you know, I think that we're gonna have fun when this game comes out. I can't wait to play it again. So, thanks again, everyone. See you soon.